I agree, Mr. Chairman. And looking forward, though, even if they can build, a lot of them ang iniiyak naman nila to maintain and operate it. Pati sila nahihirapan doon. So as a strategic approach, itong 5 na ino-offer namin will be a good shovel-ready initiative already kasi yung mga lote na yan galing rin sa mga LGU. So they will probably house what we envision to be the regional bahay pag-asas. At least there's something to show na we're advancing the provisions of the law. And for the record, we've already stated it in the House, the department's position is not to lower. We don't agree in lowering the minimum age of criminal liability. We believe in restorative justice, but as you said, in order for us to see the full effect of this law, every provision of it has to take into fruition.
Correct. And we just witnessed what happened last Sunday in Mindiola, and a lot of the arrests there were minors. So again, this is this picture or this video or the optics of minors committing crimes is leading to the clamor of lowering down the minimum age of criminal liability. So unless we really put up bahay pag-asas, implement the law, then that clamor will grow louder and louder. No, that's why we need to. My proposal is to put some amounts to expand bahay pag-asas, whether it's regional, whether it's highly urbanized cities. We need to continue to expand it every year. So,
Mr. Chairman,
so we'll wait for the.
we'll submit as directed.
Okay. Next will be on the topic of the senior citizens, yung
CSC.
NCSC. I saw this executive order of the president, Executive Order 96. This is a very recent executive order, and basically it says that the main focus is for DSWD to continue its to implement the social pension scheme. No, so and I agree with this executive order because DSWD has the infrastructure ready nationwide. It has people, boots on the ground. It has regional offices. It has provincial coordinators. So it can implement social pension much more efficient. My question is, there's still one program remaining with NCSC, no, which is the centenarian program. And based on the utilization of the centenarian program, in 2024, zero ang utilization. No? Ang reported sa ito yung FAR, no, yung transparency reporting mechanism. So wala tayong nabigay out of the 3 billion sa mga centenarians.
Mr. Chair, yield to the NCSC because as you mentioned, this is a fairly recent occurrence. Yung budget nila hindi namin na-consolidate sa amin kasi weekend lang lumabas yung EO, turning them into a virtual attached agency.
Yes, they're an attached agency, but the social pension will remain with the SW.
Correct.
The only one remaining will be the centenarian.
2 programs, the assistance to senior citizen, maliit lamang naman po yun.
Yeah.
Mga 1
The
million
bigger
plus.
program is
The expanded centenarian.
centenarian. That's almost 95% of your budget expanded centenarians. So my first question, bakit in 2024 walang nagastos? Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, Sir Secretary, this 2025 lang po talaga nag-pay out for the cash gift. So yung pong mga beneficiaries for 2024, ngayon din lang po binabayaran.
Yeah, but the budget is 2024. Nag-birthday sila 2024.
Yes,
So
sir.
dapat ibigay, diba? Pag nag-birthday ka naman, di naman yung gift mo next year.
Yes, sir.
Ang gift mo is the same. So bakit hindi nabigay?
Wala pa po kasi sa amin yun noong 2024. This 2025 lang po talaga sa amin yung napalipat.
Okay. So
Opo.
nasa DSWD pa. So
Yes,
how come it's not hindi nabigay nung 2020?
Nabigay po, Mr. Chair. We're drawing up the data right now. Nabigay po yun na nasa DSWD po yun.
That cash gift is under the centenarians. Cash gift is under DSWD in 2024.
Correct, Mr. Chair.
2024.
Mr. Chair, physical, no?
Physical.
The physical accomplishment for 2024 is 1,832 senior citizens who availed of it, which is 100% utilization and accomplishment of its physical targets.
Okay, so all of the senior citizens who are entitled during 2024 nabigay.
Nabigay po.
Okay, all right. And because dito sa report is zero. But my next question is, how come we're not lodging that centenarian cash gift to the SWD? Because I also saw in your Senior Citizens Council, yung kanilang PS, no, personnel services, lumalaki siya from 24 million in 2022, in 2026, 167 million. So in other words, nagbubuo kayo ng makinarya o nagbubuo kayo ng offices nationwide to distribute yung centenarian birthday gift. Why not just lodge it with the SWD? Kasi meron na naman silang office. Ginagawa na rin nila yung social pension. So isabay na yung social pension sa yung cash gift.
Mr. Chef, I'll be allowed to answer that.
Go ahead.
I'll put it in context. Originally, nung Centenarian Act, alam yan, hindi pa expanded. Nasa amin ho lahat yan. Now, in the year of 2024, that function was given to the NCSC pursuant to the expanded Centenarian Act. So napunta ho sa kanila yon. And they took it upon themselves, naturally, to form a bureaucracy to be able to dispense with that operating function. Yung sa expanded Centenarian na merong 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. Now, fairly recently, just this weekend, we got word that we're getting them back as an attached agency, primarily because the Office of the President and we share the same sentiment, feel that, one, we have the institutional knowledge to run the SOCPEN and other senior citizen programs. Two, so that they don't, in the name of streamlining, right-sizing, hindi na sila magtayo ng panibagong bureaucracy. Now, ang nangyari ho, nakapagsimula na sila mag-expand bago lumabas yung executive order na yan. So now we're going to sit down with them. We're going to sit down with them in the coming days to figure out how they can somehow give us back that program, but to the same degree, taking into account nakahire na ho rin sila ng karagdagang mga tao, as you pointed out. Clearly, we don't want displacement, so we're going to try to figure out what to do. Parang nangyari ho kasi the train was stopped in the middle of it on its track. Nagbubuo na sila, nagpapalawak na sila, then lumabas yung executive order.
But I do agree with that because you don't want to build a nationwide machinery or nationwide workforce just to distribute birthday gift. Yun lang ang trabaho nila just to give birthday gift. So kumuha tayo ng mga tao para mag-distribute ng birthday gift.
Mr. Chair, the vision there was, it was also meant to implement the SOCPEN.
Correct.
Kaya lang since hindi na nga na-lodge doon kasi there were moves to turn them to an attached agency, parang naging hilaw yung pagbubuo nila. Now we're in the middle, we have to sit down with them, take an inventory on what to do with their people and how to get back that power.
Actually, this law, this executive order, is the first executive order that made use of the government optimization law, no? That allows national government to consolidate services, no? To make it more efficient and to make it more rational in that sense. So my suggestion to the department is to expand this executive order to capture the yung birthday gift, yung centenarians law. Kasi nandyan na rin no?
Originally, it was with us and we had a perfectly running mechanism wherein we take into account 1 year in advance yung mga magbe-birthday para real time yung pagbibigay ho namin. But we were also stopped on our tracks when that budget was lodged with them. Rest assured, Mr. Chair, we will sit down with them immediately, take stock of what they have and try to make sure na makuha namin for efficiency purposes programs that we can piggyback or what we used to do.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Yung supplemental feeding program, no? And this is close to the hearts of the Secretary and this representation because we do this in Valenzuela. And I understand that for 2026, we allocated amounts, but it's only good for 120 days. No? Normally, school days is almost 180 to 200 days. No? So in other words, the 4 months they're being fed, but the 6 months they're not being fed. No? So alam naman natin yung slide pag hindi sila pinapakain. So how much does it take to increase it to 200 days?
So we didn't run the numbers, but we will gladly submit immediately to the committee if we were to run it for 200 days. We will submit a computation immediately.
And understand this is downloaded to the LGUs.
Mr. Chair, to the best of our ability, we do download it kasi napakahirap po ng regional procurement. Pero there are some LGUs na hindi tumatanggap because of pending liquidation issues.
And that's my next question. How is the liquidation? Because very strict ang COA pagdating sa liquidation.
Mr. Chair,
Do I agree that we should download it to the LGU? So DSWD cannot feed all of our 4 years old, 5 years old, 3 years old nationwide. It's impossible. So we need the help of our LGUs. But the LGU should also be cognizant that there are rules that they have to follow.
percent of it is downloaded, meaning ito yung mga LGUs who have clean and good standing, are in good standing. Now, the 45%, yan po yung either, a big chunk of that actually, ang may mga liquidation problem. That's why it's the department that runs that. And we're trying to work with them closely to make sure that they liquidate whatever unliquidated they have so that we can keep on downloading to them.
Just to, we did some research on the number of kids being fed. Can we flash this? Right now, I think the department is feeding about 900,000.
1.5.
About 0.5. But for the number of children in our the number of children aged 3 and 4 years old, 3 and 4 years old, is about 8 million. No? So we're only feeding about 11% of the total population. No? So of course we want to expand that, but we need a lot of resources. So ang suggestion ko, the first order is just to expand the number of days para hindi sila mag-slide in terms of nutrition. No? So we need that figure. How much do we need to expand that to 180 days or 200 days? Next is, if we expand it, what will happen to those LGUs who cannot liquidate? Kasi lalaki rin yung ibibigay natin sa kanila. Baka laki rin hindi nila kayang i-liquidate. No? Is there a mechanism to safeguard the amounts of that we will be downloading to the local government units? But definitely, we will need the local government units. Hindi natin pwedeng akuin mag-isa itong programa.
For sure. I can be wrong, but kasi yung feeding ho namin is center-based. As far as we're concerned, it's universal as long as you're enrolled in the daycare center. I believe the uptake on daycare centers is only 20% or 15%. So it could be that the universal that you're talking about are outside the daycare centers and the daycare facilities. I believe that EDCOM...
Yeah, those are outside. No?
So I believe that part of the EDCOM recommendation which the President and Secretary Angara took cognizance of was to build more early childhood centers in CDCs.
Universal.
That's the universal. That's why yung sa amin, universal siya basta naka-enroll. Nasa loob ka ng daycare facility or neighborhood play sessions. Now, Mr. Chair, we will have to study how we can download more given nga na may red flags already, hindi nila naliliquidate. I do understand the predicament. Now, we cannot implement it, but neither can we download because meron silang financial obligations. Please give us some time to figure out a mechanism on how we implement this given na may financial issues with the LGU.
We have a new law, yung ECCD law. And the ECCD law, we transferred the ECCD Council to the DILG because daycare and early childhood care and development is a devolved function to the LGUs. So I would suggest to the department to work with DILG to streamline the requirements for liquidation and as well as have heavier penalties for liquidation. Baka tinatamad lang o wala silang pakialam mag-liquidate. No? But wala tayong choice but to download to the local government units because sila on the ground. Sila nagpapatakbo ng daycare, sila yung may in daycare teachers, sila nag-hire. So we need the help of our local government unit. So I suggest that through the ECCD Council is to work with the ILG so that we can come up with streamlined policies so that the local government units can be mobilized.
Well noted, Mr. Chairman.
My last question will be on walang gutom. No? And this is the food stamp program. How many beneficiaries are we targeting this coming 2026?
Sir, the total data set we use is FIES of 2023, which shows that there are only 750,000 food poor families. We envision to capture all of them by summer of next year.
The target is how many?
750,000 food poor families based on the 2023 FIES.
Okay, and then by next year, how many beneficiaries?
Right now, there's 300,000 enrolled in the program. We will have to add another 300,000 within the year, and then another 150 by next year.
So by 2026, we'll cover all 750.
That is correct.
Okay, and how much funding do we need for the entire 750,000?
For next year, 26.6 billion.
$26 billion for the entire walang gutom program.
For the 750,000.
And I understand that 1.8 was allocated and the rest will come in the form of loan proceeds.
That is correct.
Okay. And the loan proceeds are already confirmed?
That is correct. We signed, I believe the economic team signed last 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago.
Okay. And how come we did not put this inside the regular funds in the in the NEP? How come we didn't use the NEP, but instead we took a loan proceed?
Mr. Chair, I don't have a visual on how the programming of the national government works. It's outside my purview. But one thing for sure, though, in the department, whenever there's a need, we create a program and we try to lobby for funds for it. But how the program is funded is something outside our purview in the department.
Well, in my opinion, since this is, I call it a recurring expense, mas maganda na sa loob na ito ng National Expenditure Program para every year nafa-fund natin siya. And a loan is typically you undertake that for infrastructure, for long-term programs, but I consider this as a short-term program because we want them to be fed as quick as possible, and we want them to get out of the food subsistence level. No? So, in my opinion, this should be funded through the National Expenditure Program. This is a short-term program that we want to implement right away. No?
Mr. Chairman, ikatutuwa po namin yun. Sa katunayan, for the record, by year 3, meron na ho siyang shortfall unless an additional financing is given to us. That loan, the original loan takeout, won't be enough. Although we have been promised additional financing depending on the impact of the program, in any social protection program, we want certainty, as the President said. Like 4Ps, like other programs, dapat meron mo siyang certainty. And we concur with your opinion na sana nasa GOP na siya para recurring siya.
Yung 26 billion, just give me a snapshot of this program. Based on your experience, once the program is launched, how long does it take for the person to get out of the food subsistence level?
Our vision is within 2 to 3 years. Every time an FIES is taken, or the CBMS, whichever comes first. Because doon makikita namin, di ba, may food, Mr. Chairman, may food insecurity questions doon. Also, part of the program is, ngayon na binibigyan ka na ng supplement na karagdagang pagkain, you should have enough caloric intake to be able to participate in nation building. Go find a job. That's why part of the conditionality when you get those food credits are two things: upskilling through TESDA and joining job fairs through DOLE. So that way there's additional income that goes back into the family so that they can graduate out of the program. 2 to 3 years, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, pero hindi naman to anti-patent through 3 years para hindi siya magutom. I would assume once we implement the program, the first year we'll see some results.
Correct,
Hindi
Mr.
na siya
Chairman.
magugutom because the objective is to bring him out of hunger.
Correct, Mr. Chairman. I think a lot of people saw the SWS tracker. So what happened was Globe Telecom, together with Monde Nissin, volunteered to commission a third-party tracker, which in that case was SWS. They've been tracking the hunger incidents among the beneficiaries. Ito yung first 300,000. And in a span of 6 months, we were able to lower, the program was able to lower food hunger by 8 to 9 7 percentage points in a span of 6 months' time. So clearly what SWS is saying, it works. So they are batting for its not they, but we are batting for its expansion because the data is already there that shows na bumababa ang incidence of hunger among its beneficiaries even as short as 6 months' time.
So in other words, if we fund the 26 billion through the National Expenditure Program, can we see results in 6 months, 1 year?
Yes, that is the we're answering the affirmative because we already have data.
6 months, 6 months, kaya.
6 months, nakita ho namin bumaba siya from close to 50% hunger incidence among beneficiaries. These are the hungriest families, down to almost 7 points in 6 months' time. We actually have a tracker that's running right now, and we should get the results shortly, and we will furnish the committee. And we're quite optimistic that bababa pa ulit siya.
Para sa akin kasi among all the programs, this is most important for me. Because paano tayo lahat nakakatulog kung meron 700,000 na mga kababayan natin gutom? No? I think konsensya na natin yan, and we cannot wait for a loan to come out to feed our people. It has to come out from our own resources, which is the National Expenditure Program. So my proposal is to fund this already through the National Expenditure Program. Pakainin na natin yung mga nagugutom. Because in 6 months, hindi na sila magugutom and they can join the workforce. So I think it's also, funding also tells a story. And funding through the National Expenditure Program is a story that we're prioritizing our people, especially those who are hungry. We're not going to any multilateral to ask for money. Sarili na natin pera, papakainin natin mga kababayan natin. So we'll work on that, Mr. Secretary. We'll try to find amounts to fund this through the National Expenditure Program.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just as a point of reference, the SDG goal is to end hunger by 2030. That's our international commitment. So putting our money where our mouth is definitely a sign that we mean we want to finish hunger once and for all.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Perfect timing.
And we end on my favorite topic, SDGs. So that's I think Mr. Secretary, I probably will still request for some pocket meetings now with your team just to prepare for the plenary. But there are no senators who reserve, no? So and if they have questions, we'll ask if they can forward it to so that you can be informed of what these questions are, and we can give them the responses that they need. So, with no more questions, the budget of DSWD, its attached and supervised agencies, and the NCIP under the Office of the President are deemed submitted to plenary, subject to our discussions and the submissions of documents requested by senators. This hearing is hereby suspended. Thank you.